Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Wadcast podcast. I'm your host, Eddie Ift. If you're like me, and when you listen to podcasts, you fast forward through everything to get straight to the content, you might be missing out on some juicy stuff, some real juicy stuff. This podcast, if you don't know it, we are the podcast that we're for people that are obsessed about exercise, people that are obsessed about health, fitness, everything about it, excellence, whatever you can do to make yourself better, stronger, faster, fitter, wherever you are in your age, life span, whatever it is, whatever you're trying to do in life that is getting you healthier or fitter, we're here for you. We're trying to bring experts on because I am by no means an expert. All I do is ask them a lot of questions, and I try to make it entertaining too. So I don't know. I don't know what I do. I don't know how you like it. But for some reason, a lot of people listen to the show, and I thank each and every one of you. I am appreciative of all the nice messages I get online. This is a weird thing for me. It's different. I've been a stand-up comedian for 25 years. I get immediate feedback. If a joke works, people laugh. I know it works. I move on. I do the next joke. People clap at the end of the show. I know if I had a good show or bad show. With this, I have no idea. I don't know if people are liking it, if they're not liking it. The only way I know is by people corresponding with me. So messages I get on Instagram, Facebook, email. I'm at Eddie Ift on everything, or you go to at Wadcast Podcast. We have a Facebook. We have an Instagram. I have individual ones. But we also have wadcastpodcast at yahoo.com. If you ever want to send an email, talk about anything serious. I take recommendations from you guys on guests. I take subject matter. I talk workouts. You're like my friends. If you listen to the show, seriously, it's weird, but in this weird virtual world we live in with social media, I consider you a friend. When I go to my shows or when I'm out somewhere and I meet someone and they go, hey, man, I'm a big fan of Wadcast Podcast, I don't take that as I'm a big fan of you because I think that's weird. I take that as I really like the work you do. And then I'm like, oh, cool. I like what I do, too. We like something, not meaning like, oh, I'm great. I mean, like, I like what I talk about. You and I have something in common. We are now have a kinship. We have something we can talk about. That is what the show is. I talked to all these guys, like my guest today, Matt Chan. It was awesome to talk to him because not only is the guy just one of the most badass CrossFitters ever, he has all of the interests that I have and is really good at them. Is really intense about them. You can tell that like obsessive compulsive personality that when they do something, they do it great. And so I admire people like that. So it was really interesting talking to him. Fun guy to talk to. Excited. Just has a great personality and just won the Titan Games on NBC, which is amazing. As for you guys, like I said, thank you for supporting the show. I can't tell you enough, especially during this pandemic, how much it means to me. This is the only thing holding my family up. I do not have a stand-up comedy career any longer, and it is not coming back in the foreseeable future. Comedy could possibly be the last thing coming back because it's a bunch of people in a small room talking and spreading COVID germs. A bunch of comedians tried to do it, and they got COVID right away. So this is it. This is how I express myself. This is how I'm making a living. This is so we're trying to grow the show. So do us a favor. Support it by going to Patreon. Or another way you can support is tell your friends about it. When you're at your gym, write it on the whiteboard. I think that would be really funny. I should come up with like a thing where people just write Wadcast Podcast or something and then take a picture of it on your whiteboard. And that'd be really funny. Like, listen to the Wadcast Podcast. Write it on your whiteboard. Take a picture of it. Go into your gym. Write, listen to the Wadcast Podcast on your whiteboard. Take a photo of it with you in it. And I'm trying to think what I'll give you a shout out. How about that? I'll give you an awesome shout out on the show. I'll shout out your gym. So do that, right? Listen to the Wadcast Podcast on your whiteboard. Take a picture. If you're doing something stupid in the picture, mooning me or, I don't know, give me the finger. It's even funnier. Whatever you want to do. My old show, people used to do the weirdest shit. I don't even want to talk about it. Or you can just go to we call it the Patreon. And it's wadcastpodcast.com/Patreon or patreon.com/Wadcast. And when you do it, here's the deal. You donate $5 it's not the minimum. You can donate $1, but for $5 a month, you get yourself in a drawing, and you're going to win yourself an awesome Myopux or Leopard Claw. Both of them. You get them both. The Myopux I'm holding right now is an electronic muscle stimulator that you use for active recovery. And it's simplified. It says it on there because it's so easy to use. You just put the pads on you. They have like a remote control to them, and the remote control, you hit it and it just starts sending an electronic stimulator. It stimulates your muscle and makes your muscle move, and then you're not re-injuring the tissue. So the muscle is moving on its own, and you're not damaging it, but you're actually sending good blood there and getting the bad blood out, and it's expediting the inflammatory process. Now the Leopard Claw, which I'm holding, which is awesome because it says Wadcast Podcast on it. It is it's like a piece of steel. You feel like you're holding a weapon when you have it. It is a weapon. It's a weapon to heal you. You use it on your injuries to scrape any adhesions that you might have. It breaks them up in your fascia. If you don't know what fascia is, Google it, because I'm not a doctor, but I can kind of tell you that's like that layer of elastic shit between your skin and your muscles, and it gets clumped up and it doesn't allow blood to flow through there. So this scrapes that all out, gets the blood flow going in there much better, and then it heals you. So if you're working out hard, you're probably getting some injuries, and this is the best way. I continue to work out all the time because I fix my injuries. So hopefully you can do that too. And all you got to do, donate $5 a month. You get yourself in there. $5. That's like $1 an episode. Okay. This week's winner, Tommy Goody. I hope that I pronounced your name right, Goody. Tommy. It's a Goode. Goode. Goody. I don't know where you're from, but I appreciate it. And I'm glad you won. So, Tommy, send us an email. I will send your stuff over to Troy over there at Myopux and Leopard Claw, and we will get this out to you. Thank you very much. Also, just thanks to everybody who's still supporting the show, listening to the show, didn't jump ship when the other guys left the show. And what else do I have to tell you? So much to tell you today. So much going on. What do I want to talk about? Well, nothing about CrossFit right now. I just want to talk to you about, there is something CrossFit that's going on. Well, I talk about it in the episode, so just listen to it in the episode. There's some competitions coming up and competitions not coming up. I still wonder if the games is going to ever happen because of, it's kind of an awkward thing. I was out tonight and I went to, we have a family that we're like quarantined with, and they're my daughter's best friends and they're neighbors of ours. And we go sit on their deck and eat with them all the time. And I had a surf tonight, and tomorrow I have a big workout on Hunter McIntyre's workout program now, and it beats the shit out of me. Now, it's really good. It doesn't beat the shit out of me. It actually makes me feel good, but I didn't want to wake up with a hangover. I want to have a drink. I like alcohol. I was thirsty from surfing, and I craved a margarita so badly. So I can still drink them without the alcohol, because I have a thing called Ritual Zero Proof. What is that? Well, you use Ritual in place of liquor in your favorite cocktail. So I put the tequila in the margarita. It's 0 calories. The margarita is not, but the alcohol is. They've got gin too, and whiskey. Whiskey's only got 10 calories. They're all natural, gluten-free. They're non-GMO. And it's a big thing with athletes everywhere. It's an alternative liquor. How about this? You're going to get better hydration from it, okay? Because it's not alcohol. and it's going to give you an immunity boost that comes with drinking less. You know, like you're going to be getting you're not getting the alcohol euphoria that you might get from. I just get depressed from alcohol and I get a hangover. So, but I do like tequila. So this is what I do, and it's crafted from all natural blended botanicals. It's got all the flavor, all the aroma, and all the burn of classic spirits, but without the alcohol. Okay, so if you're a pregnant woman and you're like, oh my God, I need a drink so bad. If you're a former alcoholic, or you're just somebody that works out constantly and, you know, physically you just want to be sharp and you want to be on point the next day, but you want to, you know, you might be in a bar and you just don't want to deal with the people's bullshit of like peer pressure. Well, this is what you do. You go to ritualzeroproof.com, ritualzeroproof.com, use the promo code for 20% off your 20% off. You're going to get 20% off your purchase. How about that? 20% off. And all you got to do is use the I think it's Wadcast. So that is your Wadcast. Use Wadcast in the promo code and get yourself 20% off. Okay? And now I think we're just going to start this episode. I said I was trying not to do a long intro, but here it went. Ladies and gentlemen, Matt Chan. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Wadcast podcast. I'm your host, Eddie Ift, and welcome to the show. As always, we're having technical difficulties. I cannot get the screen to work. That beautiful screen that usually has behind it usually I have the Wadcast sign on here. Today we've got an awesome guest we're going to get to in a second. I just want to thank all of you for listening. Go to YouTube to watch the show now. We will announce our Myopucks and Leopard Claw winner later in the show, and I will get to you with all our sponsors. I want to get to him right now. Our guest this week, amazing, OG, the four-time, I think he's more than four times in the CrossFit Games, came in second once to Rich Froning, but now he's the champion of the Titan Games. Let's get him in here. NBC's Titan Games winner, Matt Chan. Matt Chan is connected. Cannot see. There he is. Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Oh my God, this is great. We always have technical difficulties right away. And the only thing that's not working today is this amazing screen in this school bus. I do the show from a school bus.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's cool.
I spent $10,000, bought a shitty school bus, then dumped $60,000 into it. Eventually, I think about $80,000, and now it's for sale for about $500. So if you want
classic stuff.
If you want a really hot school bus, you'll see about halfway through the show I'll start dripping with sweat too.
Oh, is it super hot?
Oh my God, I have no air conditioning. I got it's a nightmare. It's my life. But you, congratulations first off.
Thanks, man. Appreciate it.
And congratulations. I'm congratulating you for finally getting on the Wadcast podcast after all these years.
Took me all these years, you know.
I don't know.
I'm glad to finally have made it.
I don't know why you've never been on. Like, of all people.
Me neither.
I'm talking too much as always, but no, I've always wanted you on the show. Always, I think it was just you were never in LA.
Yeah, it's pretty rare that I'm in LA. The last time I was there was Games Combine. That was pretty short, but before that, Sri and I stayed in LA for a little bit when we were traveling around in an Airstream.
I remember watching videos of you in your Airstream. And
we were in the Morongo Valley for at least a month, and we were in LA for a little bit too. So
Morongo Valley, why? What's there?
Isn't that Palm Springs and all that stuff?
Yeah. Why?
Yeah, we were hanging out in Palm Springs.
That's where retirees go.
Oh, dude, that's where I want to be, man.
You're ready to retire already?
Yeah, dude. Aren't you?
No. I got a 1-year-old and a 5-year-old. I'm like just getting to work.
Oh, yeah.
I lived a life of retirement for about 20 years, and now I have to get to work.
Yeah, gotcha. Okay, all right. Well, I've done it backwards from you then, and I'm burned out and I'm ready for it.
Yeah, you're burned out. You just what are you, 42?
Yeah, I am.
42, and you just smoked everybody in the Titan games.
Yeah, thanks.
Which, by the way, I watched it all on YouTube, as I do. I don't watch TV.
So you missed a lot of the story stuff then.
Yeah, I did, because I know how reality shows go, and like that's pretty cool stuff that they do. They put together. Here's the thing: all these guys you're up against, they look like bodybuilders out of like steroided hell, and then the guy you go up against looks like a fat substitute teacher. Like the guy who made it to the finals with you. I know you're going to be nice about it, but like you, if I was to pick a guy who was going to win it from the beginning, I would have said you. Because it looks like you had the build, the CrossFit, kind of like all around, be able to handle anything.
Yeah.
The guy, and there was a lot of really good competitors in this. And the guy who made it to the finals against you, how?
Yeah.
How?
Well, you know what? Will's one of those guys. You know, he's got the dad strength, and he's not even a dad yet. He's just one of those guys that's if you make some assumptions about him, you're probably going to be wrong, because he's very, very strong. I mean, the guy, as far as like powerlifting numbers, he's, raw, competitive, raw powerlifting numbers.
Oh, so that's what it is.
But even aside from that, though, the dude's just super athletic. I mean, very competitive baseball growing up and all that stuff. So, he's an athlete.
How much cardio was it?
It felt like it was, there was a couple events that were very glycolytic, especially Mount Olympus. That felt like it was, a 3 to 4 minute hard CrossFit effort. So afterwards it was difficult to catch your breath and stand up straight and all that stuff. Yeah. And then some of the other events, they actually cut out a lot of the time. So like, for example, the event that was called not Herculean Pole. I'm forgetting what it's called. The one where you push the door up against each other. That was an extremely long event for almost everybody that participated. I think Danny and Kelly Stone. Is it Danny and Kelly Stone? No, it wasn't. But Danny's event, when she was doing that one, was the longest. I think it was 26 minutes, and our event went 23 minutes when I went up against Bartley. And that's obviously doesn't make for good television, but that's a long, strenuous aerobic effort. Yeah.
It was a really good show. And I feel bad ripping on the guy because but he does look like that guy. We used to call it in high school burnout strength. Like the guys who never did a sport ever. And like they lived on like their dad was a mechanic or something, and they had to take off carburetors all day long. And so they had this like freakish strength just from like life.
Work.
From real work.
I like that more than just like the CrossFit-y CrossFit people. It's just like, great, you're good at clean and jerks, you're good at snatches, that's really cool. This guy's good at everything. And you throw anything in his face and he could be like, well, I don't know what a snatch is, but give me 10 minutes, I'll figure it out. Yeah, that was there was a guy on my football team in high school named Doug Hahn, and we'd all go to the weight room after practice or whatever, and I'd be like, you coming? And he was like the best player on our team. And he'd be like, pfft. And I'd be like, we're all going to lift weights. And he's like, I'm going to chop wood. Yeah, so good.
And he's like, I'm going to get real strength. And
that's the stuff that really paid off in that event, or in that competition, was real life strength. So I should just say capacities. So like swinging a hammer was obviously super important. And I think the more stuff you did outside of the gym, the better you're going to actually be. I think the important part for the Titan Games competition was to expose yourself to other things that are going on in life, like recreational activities and stuff like that. So.
Well, I'm a big proponent of I love when when Castro throws in these weird events into the games, and I've always said that it's great that you can be really good at CrossFit, but if you're going to claim to be the fittest in the world, don't have such specific things that you're skilled at. Have things like, like I always joke, like run a refrigerator, carry a refrigerator around a track. Like,
yeah.
If we took all the CrossFitters and said, all right, you each have a refrigerator, get it around this track, who's going to get it around there? Or just weird things that they can't train for. And
right.
And that's what I would like to see, is that you train using all these specific things, and then you get to the games, and it's like, and that was kind of what the Titan Games was.
Yeah, it was. But, I agree with you. I think the CrossFit Games are awesome because that is the stage, if you will, for showcasing not only, elite fitness, and that could look like a lot of the CrossFit events that we're used to seeing, but also athleticism. And that's where it's like, this is my first chance on an apparatus that has not been practiced by any of the games athletes before, and who can adapt immediately and win this event. And that's the stuff that's always been the most exciting about the CrossFit Games. And I think the first thing that I remember being exposed to in the CrossFit Games where that was like a big part of it was that monkey bars event.
Yeah.
In 2011. And I mean, who would have thought we'd see not only a bike erg, right? That didn't really exist back then. I think they used the Watt bike for that event. Yeah. No one practiced that. But also that 50-foot long monkey bar section that I don't know many people that had spent much time on something like that other than the occasional obstacle course. And it was cool to see who actually was able to just, without ever touching it, because we weren't allowed to, put our hands on that apparatus, who would be able to just jump up there and start flying on that thing.
To this day, one of the most exciting moments in CrossFit history, when Josh Bridges flew through there. I mean,
it really was.
It was with who was he? Was he up against you? Who was he up against?
Yeah,
it was you.
Yeah, I came off in the last 15 feet, man. My hands were, my forearms.
Were you tearing?
Arms. No, it was just fatigue.
Because that was back in the day when everybody teared too, because everybody was just like, oh yeah, like we don't wear gloves, we're CrossFitters. And everybody would have these bloody hands, and I'm like, you're morons, put gloves on.
Yeah, it's true.
Put some kind of strap on. But there was this mentality of no, your body should adapt. Your body should adapt. And I'm like, no, you shouldn't be bleeding all over the place. Right. And it's
we've gotten better.
It's going to throw you out of, now you see everybody strap up for it because it's just your hands are going to tear. And it used to be a badge of honor. People would be like, look at my hands. And you're like, yeah, you're an idiot. And
the next few events are going to be very rough for you.
That was, I would say that, and then Froning falling off, or not falling, but not being able to do the rope climb were two. It's funny. It's like some of the greatest athletes, and here are these moments. So it's almost like I remember Kalipa when he couldn't get, it was a snatch, I think, or a clean and jerk. Do you remember when he kept failing?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, we're talking about guys who are the greatest in the sport. You, Kalipa, Froning.
But to put that in context, I mean, that's how far the CrossFit Games have come. I think prior to the 2010 CrossFit Games, which is where you're talking about Jason failing at the end of Amanda, I don't think they required a squat snatch at 135 pounds at that point.
Wow.
Scary. You know what I'm saying? So I mean, it's
scary how far it's come.
Oh my gosh, yeah. And at that point in time, it was just judging the speed at which we could take things. Those weights and those movements were just not as highly practiced as they are now. Now there's almost a standard set of skills that you kind of have to be able to not only perform but have a pace for. And I think what was cool back in the day is all that stuff was just a big surprise. And you either had practiced it or you hadn't. And if you hadn't, do you have the athleticism to just kind of kick it off and see how it goes? Well,
it's so cool because you've taken it and what you've learned from all of that, and you've been able to apply it. And it goes to prove that CrossFit does, you're proof of that winning the Titan Games that all your training in CrossFit has helped you. And none of these events were CrossFit events. They were all things you've never done before, and so it proves the fitness level, and that's great. And that's what I think it should do. I saw Froning has some obstacle course race, not obstacle course race. He's doing like some 4-mile trail run down in Alabama. Mayhem's doing with where there will be like 7 stations where you do like CrossFit type events. And I like to see the expansion of that. I always thought that would happen. And it's a way for guys like you to go out and make more money and prove and show, use this thing that you've been in the gym training with. And there's always been this notion of like, hey, we're CrossFit, we just do CrossFit. And it's like, no, the Ninja Warriors do CrossFit, obstacle course racers do CrossFit, and there's all levels of fitness. And however much you do it, it's going to help, and it's going to, you're going to be able to apply it to your sport.
Yeah, I'd say CrossFit is the single best thing I've experienced for like just general physical preparedness. I mean, there's a lot of things that have contributed to my overall fitness. I grew up swimming.
Weren't you water polo?
I played water polo in college. So, I mean, there's a lot of things that contributed to my overall fitness, but I'd say that the experience that I've had with CrossFit over the last, I guess it's been about 13 or 14 years now. What I've learned is that it does prepare you generally well for everything. And, if you're looking to just, do things in life and be ready to say yes to any activity that somebody might, ask you to do, like, hey, let's go whitewater rafting. Cool. No problem. Let's go rock climbing, do some simple rock climbing. Great. No problem. CrossFit's that one thing that kind of shares common threads with everything. And if you do use CrossFit as a training method, you're gonna be able to say yes to more stuff. And that's the big thing that I've taken away from the CrossFit methodology is you don't have to necessarily be competitive with it to see the benefits and how it can work its fingers into your overall fitness and improve your lifestyle.
If you could go back and do it for water polo, how much better of a water polo player do you think you'd be?
Yeah, I mean, just the power I'd have in my legs. I mean, I never trained lower body hardly at all, other than just the stamina of the egg beater and, kickboard kicks and all that stuff. I never did any squatting or deadlifting or anything like that. So I would think that I would be a much more powerful swimmer and water polo player for sure.
A lot of Navy SEALs are water polo players. Did you ever consider that? Were you like, I'm going to go do that kind of?
Honestly, no. Military, I don't know why military was never a route that my family ever talked about. I don't know of, other than my grandparents, I don't think I have any aunts or uncles. My mom and dad, obviously not involved in the military. So it was just never something that was really part of my upbringing. So It wasn't a route that I was aware of, really.
Most important question. How did you get a haircut during the pandemic?
I just got one today. Denver, it's opened up.
Oh, it is?
So we can get we can get tattoos and we can get haircuts. It's pretty badass.
I love that tattoos are essential. Tattoos and marijuana. Marijuana dispensaries are totally essential.
Yep.
Yeah, I can't get a haircut. Look at this. I mean, this is the longest my hair's ever been, and I'm about to go in and chop. I had to do a photo shoot, and I just put a hat on, and I'm just cutting. I'm shaving it all off. I can't take it anymore.
Oh, really? Yeah.
Okay. Can't take it.
Maybe they could provide you with the haircut.
Yeah, it's brutal. So now that you are the Titan Games winner, you had fame from CrossFit, and CrossFit fame it's weird. It's niche fame where you're known by tons of people, but in this world, when you go on TV, all of a sudden it's so broad, it's everywhere. Have you?
Yeah.
The pandemic kind of has constrained that, but are you finding, are you walking down the street and people are like, holy shit? Has it happened?
Yeah, you're right. CrossFit has its own little niche where, CrossFitters, first off, you can recognize a CrossFitter just by their body type.
Yeah.
Usually big shoulders, kind of shaped like a triangle, it's like, oh, I bet that person CrossFits. Big butts, the whole 9 yards. But with that for a long time, I started to meet CrossFitters who said, hey, you did my level 1. I saw you at the CrossFit Games. And that was for a long time, that was, that would happen occasionally. But now I've noticed with the Titan games, a lot of people watch that thing. And, it's pretty cool, actually, in Denver. It seems like the people that I see at like the grocery store and stuff like that are willing to say something, that it seems like they have like a sense of Denver pride with me winning the Titan games.
Right.
So it's kind of cool, actually.
It's what you don't realize too is how many people know you and won't say anything to you. Because I don't. When I see famous people, I don't go, "Hey, I saw you on," or "Hey," I do it to like weirdly like obscure people. I'd be like, "I saw you in that movie in 1982," and they're like, "Okay, you're a psychopath." But
right.
I do it to the weirdest people. I stalked Ralph Macchio for a while, and we had the same agent, and I would just show up at the office at the same time as him. But I found it even with my little tiny bits of fame. The other day I was surfing, and I'm in the parking lot, and this car full of like young kids drives by, and one kid goes, "Hey, Eddie." And I look at him like, "Oh, is this one of my friends?" And I go, and I look, and I'm like, I have no idea who this guy is. And he looks at his friends. He goes, "Told you it was him." And they drove away.
Yeah. That's cool, man.
And I was like, that was weird. Like, I wish I could have. You would have said, "Hey, I listened to your podcast," or "Hey, I saw you on Comedy Set." I would have liked it rather than like this awkward, "Hey." But I was on a reality show for a few weeks, Last Comic Standing. I made it to like the semifinals, and I couldn't believe how many people. So I can't imagine winning. Like what it would. I'd be like afraid to go outside if I were you.
Oh yeah, no, I don't think it's anything like that. Honestly, I mean, I think they said on average 3.7 million or 3.9 million people watched each of the shows on Monday nights. And that's not even including like
all the online,
the Hulu and all that stuff.
Right.
So yeah, definitely a lot of people watched it, and it's super cool. And you're probably right. There's probably only like a small percentage of people that, honestly, like have the confidence to reach out and be like, "Hey, I saw you on the Titan games. It's super cool." So yeah, I personally, I think it's cool for me because I feel like a 1-1 for the team, both Denver, firefighters.
That's awesome.
Yep.
CrossFitters.
The CrossFitters.
Yeah. I mean, they're
absolutely. So
when I saw you guys like Danny Spiegel and Margot, I love Margot. She's the best. And when I saw you guys doing it, I was like, yeah, good. Like I get someone rather than someone who just does it. Like you'll see in Ninja Warriors, oh, this guy trains in this or this or this, and you see somebody who's like part of the community. It's pretty cool. Do you think you could have got through that wall with your shoulder that Margot couldn't get through?
No, that thing was thick.
When I saw her do that, I was like, "Oh, what are you doing?"
I know. Like that hat. I mean, she probably rung her bell because it was thick enough that like it took me, I think, like 3 kicks to even put a dent in it. So the fact that she put her head and shoulder up against it.
What was that made of?
I think it was like 5/8 inch drywall with like this probably like 4-inch thick foam backing. So,
did you feel like a firefighter at that point when you were kicking that thing through?
Man, I'll tell you what. I think for season 3, I'm always going to put my money on the firefighters because I mean, there's so much sledgehammer work. There's so much just like grunt work of kicking and really pushing and all that stuff. Where it's just like I find the stuff that I do on the fireground really does contribute to the skills necessary for the Titan games. So.
I was watching with my wife and daughter, and I was explaining. My wife didn't realize how fit firefighters are, and she's like how fit? And I'm like, it's ridiculous. I go, it's the most competitive thing in the world to get that job, and like those guys are like freaks. I go, and I try to tell everybody this. I've helped out with the charity with the National Fallen Firefighters Foundation, and I'm like, I watched the guys fight the fire. I live in Malibu, so I watched my whole town burn and watched what the firefighters have to do. And after that, I was like, holy shit! I was like, they got to hike up that hill. Then they got to start shoveling, and then they're like doing brush clearance, and then they're coming back down, and they're covered in, like it's not like they're wearing shorts and a t-shirt. These guys are covered in. It's the hardest job in the world. I'm way too much of a pussy for that.
Yeah, well, I mean, the firefighting that you're talking about is wildland firefighting, and it takes a different type of individual to fight those fires, because there's really no respiratory protection. They might put a bandana over their nose and mouth, but even in addition to all the just straight up labor involved with that, like digging lines, stretching hose lines, putting out fire, cutting down trees, all that stuff. They're doing it while their respiratory systems are compromised for not just like, a short period of time, but for weeks on end. So those dudes are real heroes. And, there's a lot going on in California and Colorado right now. And it's taxing the national wildland firefighting system because, California they have CAL FIRE that obviously is their first responders for any sort of wildland fire, but they also rely on, the
guys coming in from Idaho and Montana and stuff like that.
All over the place. Yeah. All over the place. And, the same in Colorado. And those guys are really taxed right now. So, it's definitely, they need the support. And I think the footage that they're getting and the support they're receiving nationally is, well-deserved right now. And, just pray for them because, that's scary shit.
Yeah, I have a couple guys that listen to the show that I met at my show in Boise, and they came out and they were telling me all about it. And they were the, or maybe they were the guys in, I lose you there? Oh, there you are.
I'm back on.
Maybe
sorry.
I lost, or maybe they were the Oregon guys. I have a whole bunch of, I think it was the Oregon guys. Or no, the Boise guys were telling me that, he's one of the smoke jumpers. He comes in out of the helicopter and, behind the lines of the fire and fights it back. And he said his first day of training, they were telling him about cutting your line, like, because you drop with all your equipment. And I'm sure you know all this stuff, but they drop with their equipment. And he said, if your equipment, like if your rope gets tangled, you're going to have to cut your line to get rid of all your equipment and get rid of the line so that you're not tangled in a tree because it could pull the helicopter down. And he said the very first day they told him, he said, look, we have to let you know, too, if you're tangled and it's a difference between the helicopter going down and you going down, we're cutting your rope. Like, wow. You're going to die to save the rest of it. And he goes, that was like a decision right there I had to make, like, wow, like this is really, really risky. And then he told me about all the respiratory problems. He said, we don't have a good lifespan. He said, a lot of guys, a lot of cancer, a lot of lung problems. Yep. And that's no joke. And so watching...
But those guys have the camaraderie like that structural firefighters have. I mean, they work as a team. And that's very rewarding. That's why, a big part of firefighting being such a romantic career path is the passion that firefighters have, not only for the job, but for the teamwork of the job. And I think those guys in particular have a pretty unique sense of that.
Yeah, I always chose the not so hard, I was a lifeguard, ocean lifeguard, and I was a ski patrol. And mine were more like, there was camaraderie, but it was like, hey, let's see who can, do the bullfrog with their ball sack. It wasn't like, hey, let's go save a life and let's go protect this. Like when we would lifeguard, it was kind of like we'd see like someone drowning and we'd be like, you going to go or am I going to go?
You're right. Yeah.
Do I have to swim? I just put my lotion on and you're going to make me, can you do this one? I mean, yeah. I seriously want to make a movie about my beach patrol because we were like the bad news bears of beach patrol. It was like we were the patrol guys that failed out of every other beach patrol, either got fired or couldn't make it. I didn't make it. I went down and tried out for a beach patrol. My buddies go, hey, we're all going this beach patrol. You got to come do it. I was like, okay. And I ran track in college, and they were like, oh, you'll be good. You're a runner. And I was like, yeah. And they didn't know I'm a sprinter. And sprinters can't run over 400 meters. So I get to the run, and it's 400 meters down to a lifeguard stand from the pier, then out into the water, into chest-high water, around a guy holding an oar, back in, and around the lifeguard stand, and then back. So my friends are like, you're going to crush everybody. So there's all this adrenaline and all this peer pressure. Right. I mean, I'm out of the gate, and I'm so far ahead of everyone. and there's like 200 guys trying out, and I'm literally in first place. And I round that oar and hit a wall, and I came in last place, like absolute dead last. And then the swim, I came in out of like 200. I came in like 199, and they were like, "You didn't just not make it; you failed."
It's putting the sprinter in the marathon.
Yeah, it was the worst and most embarrassing. And then I had to sit for a week till the next beach patrol tryout, like the town down. And the next one was. I didn't want to do it. I was like, that was too embarrassing. Oh, they also made me show up in a Speedo. My buddy's like, you got to wear Speedo. Everyone's wearing Speedos. I'm the only one in a Speedo there. No one's wearing a Speedo. So then the next week, I show up in board shorts, and I'm like, why am I even doing this? And the swim again out of like, this one only had like 80 guys try out, and I finished like 79th. One guy climbed in the boat halfway. And the run was 200 meters. And it was a timed run. And I ran it. I didn't know how I did. And they called me into the meeting. They're like, okay, you crushed everybody in that run. They go, you don't know how to swim. And I was like, what? They're like, we saw you out there on your back, like squirting water up in the air. Like, you can't. And I was like, yeah. And they're like, what's wrong with you? And I was like, and I was like that. Remember that line from SNL where it's like, I'm not a particularly strong swimmer.
Yeah.
I was like, I'm not a good swimmer. And they were like, this is lifeguarding. And I was like, well,
what are you doing here?
Yeah. So they took me on to use me in competitions, and I thought I'd get away with it and never have to swim. But like day one, they just took me out in the ocean like a mile out, and they were like, see ya. And they would just drop me in and leave. And they're like, put your head in the water. It was so terrifying. So terrifying.
Yeah, you hear those stories about the Navy SEALs doing that stuff where like they drop them out a mile out at night and stuff like that. And I just can't, mentally, I can't put that together where it's just like,
night.
You can't even see the shoreline, right?
Night swimming in the ocean. I surf at night sometimes in full moons. It's so scary. The whole time you're going, I'm getting eaten.
I bet.
I'm getting eaten for sure. This is the night it happens, and everyone's going to go, he's an idiot. Shouldn't have been out there. That's when they feed. But we went out one time. We paddled out. Buddies and I swam out to the doubles flag where they row the boats around, and it's really far out. I think it's like 3/4 of a mile or maybe even a mile and a half. I forget what the distance is. We paddled out or swam out. And by the time this was after work, and by the time we got out there, like we probably went out at like 6 or 7 or something. By the time we got out there, the sun was starting to set, and then we got out there and we were like, holy shit. Like it's dark.
Yeah.
And then we started to talk, and we didn't talk the whole way out. And then as we went in, we were like going, I think I just felt something touch my foot. And
oh man,
one guy would start swimming fast, and you're like, slow the fuck down, wait for me. And the whole way in, we're like, we're dying. But
that's crazy. I mean, those moments, like, I get anxiety from time to time, and I think everybody does. Like what you just described would light my anxiety off like none other. There's no way I could be that far out and not think, oh my God.
Yeah,
I'm in so much trouble. I just felt something.
Yeah, it's funny you say that, and you're a firefighter, and all the shit you guys do. I tell my daughter stories at night, and I just told her a story about I got caught in a hurricane once, and full on anxiety. Like you're more trained in it and probably better at it than I am. I was an 18-year-old kid, and full on panic attack in the ocean while rescuing a guy. And trying to keep him calm, and it was just me and a lieutenant, and I still remember that day like it was yesterday, and it was that moment of like I was sure I was dying. I was like, we're dying for sure, and I panicked, and my lieutenant panicked too. I saw him years later at a reunion. He's like, "Oh, remember when you fucking panicked?" Blah blah blah. I'm like, "Hey, douchebag, I saw you panic just as bad as I did. Like, don't blame that totally on me. You freaked out."
It's tough to manage. I mean, like there's been moments in firefighting where I've had that, but I think the place that I've experienced it that I remember, like what you're describing, like a specific memory where it was like, okay, I can't fuck this up. Like if I let this anxiety get the best of me right now, I'm in big fucking trouble. I was out for the Ultimate Hawaiian Trail Run. Do you know what that is?
Oh, yeah, in Kauai.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
Which, comes up every September, but this was pretty early on, and they would invite a few select friends out there and to come out early and help out with the trail and stuff like that. Well, Uncle Hoppy, as he's come to know Aaron, he invited Cherie and I on this boat trip on what's that shoreline
North
on
Shore?
Kauai?
On Kauai, I don't know.
Oh man, I forget what it's called. But anyway, we did this beautiful boat ride out, and I got so ill. I was throwing up everywhere. I mean, it was terrible. So they pulled over for a little while, and they were like, "Okay, so let's try this. Just get in the water, settle down. We'll let the waves settle your belly down." And I'm sitting in there, and I notice these guys are masking up, and they're getting ready to get in the water, and they've got this goofy ass cylinder on their back. And they're like, "Okay, here, put this on." And they hand me one. And I guess it's called a Hawaiian rig. It's a scuba cylinder.
I don't trust anything Hawaiians are like doing themselves.
This is jank. This is jank. So with a hook welded to it that goes over your shoulder. Okay. Then you just belt that on with a strap, and that's your scuba gear. So I've never scuba dove in my life, and the two guys that I was with, Aaron Hoff and Kybor Garcia,
I know Kybor.
They get in, they get in, and they're like, all right, so what we're gonna do is you put this in your mouth, you put the, all that stuff, and they're like, just follow the anchor line down, go down as far as you're comfortable. And I've never scuba dove in my life, so I'm just kind of like holding on to the anchor, and I'm just like down with them. So I looked at the little depth gauge, and I was about 50 feet down, and I was like,
"Wow!"
Yeah, I'm holding on to the anchor line, and they're on the seafloor, and they're like, "Come on down!"
Oh my God!
So right then and there, I started like walking myself down, and I was just like, "Oh boy!" I started getting a panic.
Of course,
and I was like, I can't get up fast enough. I can't get up fast enough. Oh shit. And I tried to look up at the boat, and the boat was like a thumbtack up there. So the deepest we went was 103 feet.
What?
And that was my, first time ever scuba diving.
And were they teaching you to come up slowly and everything like that?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yep. Yeah, we went up together and stuff like that. And there was a moment where I'm swimming around on my own away from the anchor line. And it was pretty darn amazing, but at the same time, I was like, "Get me the fuck back!" Can I
Google and see a picture of the scuba gear that they use? Do you think it's like on?
I bet you could.
What do they call it again?
I think it was. They called it a Hawaiian rig scuba. It's literally. I mean, it's a cylinder with a hook welded to it that they wrapped in like some sort of foam.
So I want the listeners to know, like, people that haven't scuba dived, I don't think you understand till the first time you go. Because my first time was in a pool. I took it in college. Those are the kind of courses I took in college. And I get in the pool. We get in the shallow end. And he's like, "We're going to start here. We're going to swim down to the deep end." And this is in the big university pool. And just as we start going down that, like, the slope down to the deep end, it just occurred to me, I don't know what is this that I'm breathing right now that is allowing me underwater? And it was just this feeling I'd never had in my life. Full on panic attack where I just went, and you're like weighted down, but you learned how to like inflate, but all of a sudden all your training goes out the window. You're like, I got to get to the top, and I go to swim, and you can't swim to the top. You have to inflate to the top. And and then I just went, if you freak out, you're going to die. You need to calm down. Calm down. I think that's great about our body has like such a survival mechanism that we almost will take ourselves out of a panic into like, you will die if you keep panicking. So you have to stop panicking.
Well, yeah, but I think that defense mechanism, it takes practice. If you've never experienced true panic before, you don't know how to deal with it. And man, oh man, like I was not prepared for the depth that I was at. The sensation of, like you said, I don't know what to do if this regulator that's stuffed in my face fails for whatever reason.
Yeah.
And like all those thoughts as I was going lower and lower just kept setting in, like, what speed do I go up? How far can I make it up if I just drop this rig off my back and just start swimming up?
Yeah, how far could you? Yeah, I've scuba dived. I've never been that deep. I wouldn't want to go that deep because I have this thing called claustrophobia, which is a fear of being trapped. I would feel trapped. Like, can you get to the surface? That's so deep.
Yeah. So, but what's cool about, like, about that, I was able to rely on some of the firefighting training and all that stuff where it's just like, if you're trapped, if you get in a situation and you need a rescue, you have to settle yourself down. Yeah. And you basically kind of settle in for the long haul, and you have to calm yourself. And the first thing they teach you is like in through the nose, out through the mouth, in through the nose, out through the mouth. And, if I hadn't had that and learned to settle my own psyche down, I think I would have probably done something really, really more stupid than going down there in the first place.
Right. Mark Devine, years ago on the podcast, taught me about box breathing, and it really taught me to settle down. I never understood how much adrenaline can, like, fuck you up and do... There used to be times when I was doing stand-up in the early days where I'd have to showcase for, like, Paramount Pictures or Universal or MTV. If somebody big was coming out to see you, and all of a sudden it's no longer a normal show. And I mean, you probably even felt this a little bit doing the TV show, even though it was a competition. It's good to get your nerves up. You're like, wait a minute, this is being seen. I guess you feel CrossFit Games, same thing. But my nerves would go, and it can help you athletically. In stand-up comedy, it's the worst thing ever because it throws off your timing. And when you're talking too fast, your timing's out the window. You can't get it back, and you can lose the entire audience. And so it would happen to me at these weird times. I'd be like ready to walk on stage, and I've done this a million times, but all of a sudden, my heartbeat's going. And I'm like, oh no. And I would sometimes go to the bar and go, can I get a double shot of Jack? Like, let me see if that'll throw it back into, neutral. That wouldn't work, and I'm like, oh no. And then I might do a couple more, and then I'm like slurring on stage. So it was funny. Mark Devine told me about box breathing, and all of a sudden I started doing it. I was like, oh, this is it. This is how you control your heart. You just bring it down, and it was amazing. I tell people that all the time. I'm like, you gotta
but I mean,
breathing.
talk about a expert in the field of like a stress inoculation. I mean, Mark and all those guys for that matter. I mean, like, that's their training. It's just like, okay, you're going to be shot at, you're going to be underwater, you're going to be, this emergency, that emergency. You ever? Yeah, a lot of it comes down to breathing.
You ever play paintball?
Yeah.
Do you ever realize like how it's so nerve-wracking? Not nerve-wracking, but your adrenaline's up and you're just like, you don't want to get shot. And then I always think about it, I'm like, what if these were real? Like how amplified does that get?
Yeah, good point. I mean, shit, that's fucking, like, I can't imagine what, like, being able to control your emotions, to be able to control your, like you said, your heart rate, your respiratory rate, because when one of those two things changes, I'm guessing you make, you're going to make poor decisions unless you're inoculated to that stress. I mean, just trying to fire a weapon while breathing hard is one thing,
Zach Forrest does that like tactical game stuff where he's got to like it's like CrossFit meets shooting, and I'm just like, how do you do that? That looks so hard.
I'm getting ready. Next week I head out to I've got an over-the-counter archery tag for elk in Colorado.
Oh, so awesome!
It's kind of the same thing. Like there's no one shooting. Elk are not shooting back at you, obviously, but it's that opportunity where. You're standing in front of an animal. You have to control your heart rate because this is going to be the one shot you get this year, and you got to make it count.
Is that it? And, is it like, do you really like? Is it so rare to get in front of them to be able to take a shot at them
with archer? with archery, it is. I mean, there's very good archers out there that unless you have the whole thing put together, it's like fitness, right? So, you might have the strength, but you might not have the cardiorespiratory endurance. You may have all the strength and cardiorespiratory endurance, but if you don't have any power, you're not going to be a good athlete. Being good at archery is like, not only do you have to be a good archer from different positions at different distances, but to put yourself in front of an animal is just chance, unless you can, for example, bugle well to call an animal in, do cow calls, have a good partner, have the fitness to get way out there.
That's what I was going to say. How far back are you going?
The spot that we have camp is, I think, like 2 miles, so not terribly far. And then we'll venture out from during the day from there. Probably you don't want, I mean, me personally, I had to take an animal out last year at about 2.5 miles, and it was backbreaking. I thought I was prepared for it. It was my first elk, and it was brutal, fucking brutal.
Was the meat worth it?
Oh my God, we're still eating it. We're still eating it.
A full year?
Yeah, full year. Just Sheree and I. So I mean, we don't have a family. So I think we're still, probably about 3/4 of the way through it. But yeah, definitely worth it.
Yeah, Rogan. I'm buddies with Rogan, and he's always going elk hunting. And I hear him on his podcast talk about giving people meat all the time. And I'm like, I'm over here. I'll take some of that. I had a buddy that lives in Idaho give me some. He had 2. He got 2 one year, and he had like 2 freezers full of them, and he was like, here, take this. And I'd never had elk before. And I was like, what am I doing? He's like, just take it. Trust me. You're going to love it.
Yep.
And I was like, oh my God, this is the best.
Yeah. For people who are used to beef, elk is a really easy transition because it doesn't have a super gamey flavor. It is, a big, thick piece of meat like you experience with beef. So it's a very easy transition. Deer, on the other hand, mule deer or whitetail deer definitely is a tougher transition for people that have never had it. You could give them, a little bit of ground deer, and they'd be like, "Yeah, this ain't for me."
Did you hunt in Hawaii at all?
Yeah, actually, that's where I was. Shane Dorian.
Right.
I got linked up with him, and he introduced me to bow hunting. And
so, did you go with Dozer? Did you? By chance go with my buddy Dozer Dave?
I met Dozer Dave. Yep. I hope to actually, Dozer Dave is actually, he knows quite a bit about hunting the axis deer on
the big
Maui. Lanai. On Lanai.
Oh, Lanai.
Yeah.
Yeah, he always tells me I got to eat that. He goes, they eat papayas all day long, and they're the sweetest. It's the sweetest meat you'll ever eat. You got to have it.
He's right, dude. I had that at Shane's house. He prepared just like really super rare axis deer, and it was like, what is this?
Yeah.
Delicious.
Where are you in Colorado?
I'm in Denver. I live in Denver.
In the city?
Yep.
Oh, okay. Because I live out in the Santa Monica Mountains, and I have deer that walk right through my backyard. And everybody's like,
yeah,
you got to get a license. You got to. I'm like, I got a 5-year-old daughter that loves Bambi. I can't shoot a deer in my backyard.
Yeah, bro. I don't know, man. Like I feel like it's not a bad skill to have. I mean, the way shit's going, dude. I think I'd probably figure that out if I were you.
It's so funny. Everyone I know. I'm talking to people like my most left-wing friends, and they're like,
"Yep,
you're never gonna believe this, but I bought a gun."
Yeah, dude. Yeah, I mean, let's face it. Like, this November is going to be a scary. I mean, we've it's been a rough 2020, but I think this last part of 2020, who the fuck knows what's going to happen? I just
told my wife, because I work in Australia a lot, and I was like, maybe we want to pack up and go to Australia before November. And she was like, why? My wife doesn't get it. Like, when the lockdown was happening and all this stuff, I'm like, you don't understand how quickly shit can hit the fan. And she was like, no, we'll be fine. And I'm like, and then she's like, I can't get toilet paper. I'm like, I told you. So when it comes to November, my theory is unless Trump loses by a landslide, there's going to be civil unrest. Like, if it's
I
close,
think there's going to be civil unrest either way.
No,
if he wins, if he loses.
I think if he loses by a landslide, a lot of Republicans will go, eh. But I think if it's tight either way, the other side is going to go, this is bullshit. There's cheating. There's blah, blah, blah. And no one's going to. And it's funny. No, people are like talking about it like, and I'm like, no, you don't understand. Like these riots you see in Portland and you see in Wisconsin right now, multiply it by 1,000 in every city. Like I don't want to encourage this, and I'm completely against it. And but I'm just saying we've created this weird mentality in this country, this division that's happened, and it's I don't want to be here for it.
Yeah, I know it feels like a chicken shit thing to do to say like maybe it's not a good idea to be here, but at the same time, man, I don't blame you. Like I think it's going to be a tough time of year, and I think the thing that's going to complicate the whole matter is I don't think that there is going to be an immediate decision. I think this is going to be what we've seen in other elections where it's like there's certain states are going to be super delayed. And stuff like that. So I think it's going to make people question the democratic process. And unfortunately,
it's really scary. I live.
We're going to see it. I mean,
like I said, I live up in the mountains. People are selling their houses here. I don't know if it's because California taxes, whatever, or because everyone I know in my neighborhood that has sold their, and it's literally they're going every day. We live in this community. There's probably like a couple hundred houses, and these houses will go up for sale, and they will get above asking the day of, because we live out in the sticks and everybody's moving here. And then everybody I know that lives here, I'm like, where are you going? And they're like, Montana. You're like, we just looked at a property in Montana. We're like, maybe we should move out to the, my one friend's like, he's like, I got 2 generators. I got lots of gasoline. I said, he's a really rich guy. I go, did you get a Tesla yet? He goes, fuck that. He's like, I'm worried about when they shut the grid down. Goes,
right, yeah.
You're not going to have power.
It's true. It's true.
He's like, I've loaded up on gasoline. I got a house in upstate New York. People are freaking out.
You know what's so funny about that, though? Like, having kind of made a small transition like that in the past, I moved from Denver. We moved into an Airstream for a while, but then moved back to the Boulder area, but in the mountains. It was only 15 minutes from the city of Boulder, but it was 15 minutes away from really what felt like civilization. These people that do move to Montana from a large urban area, let's just call it LA. I mean, it may be fun for a little while, like a couple months, but then all of a sudden they're going to be like, what did I do?
Yeah. My neighbor,
I have to drive 40 minutes for a fucking grocery store. Yeah.
So where we are, we're 15 minutes from a store, but we're like an hour from the city. And my neighbor across the street, I was telling him, I'm like, oh my God, everybody's selling and all these new people are coming in. He goes, they won't stay. And I'm like, there's so many new people. And he's like, they're not going to be able to handle the rattlesnakes and the mountain lions and the spiders. And he goes, they won't be here for long. And I mean, this is coming from this neighbor of mine the other day told me he did surgery on his own testicles. Swear to God. I had to tell somebody this because I haven't told anybody this. His kid stepped on...
What kind of surgery?
His kid stepped on his ball. I tried to keep a straight face while he was telling me, and I finally just looked at him, and I go, I'm going to talk about this on stage. I go, I have to.
Yeah.
I go, his kid stepped on his balls while he was, like, on a chair, and I think he called it a hydrosolite or something. Basically crushed, like, the thing around your testicle. So... I go, so you did surgery? He goes, I had to get in there, and I go, so you got in there, you went in, and he's like, yeah. I go, with a scalpel, like you. He goes, yeah. I go, you have a random scalpel hanging around? He's like, yeah, I got a really good scalpel. I go, and then you sewed it up, and he's like, yeah. So mind you, he used to be a lifeguard.
There's his medical training.
Yeah, that's his medical training. And he lives down in Mexico part of the time in this surf town where there's nothing, no hospitals, no nothing. And he goes, I put a guy's finger back on once.
I gotta meet this guy.
No, but he's great because people always say to me, do you have guns? You sure? And I'm like, no, but he's got 30. I'll just go over. When the shit goes down, I'll be like, hey, can I borrow a couple? So
that's right.
I don't need to own guns. I can go to him. He's got a syringe. He's got scalpels. We're all prepared up here.
Minor surgeries all set.
But I mean, like, you know, how far of your firefighter training? Like, where are you? Are you paramedic?
No, I'm an EMT.
Okay.
But you know, our skill levels they're always expanding. They're letting us do more and more. Especially like under the supervision of a paramedic, we're pretty much allowed to do a lot of the paramedic level treatments. Are
you allowed to put an IV in?
Yep.
Oh, you are? Okay.
Do that every day, multiple times a day.
Oh, because we weren't, like, I remember I had that like level of training for ski patrol, and they wouldn't. That was one thing we weren't allowed to. I could deliver a baby, but I couldn't put an IV in.
Right.
That was right. The one
That's crazy,
thing.
Isn't it? That's like when you consider the. It's not hypocrisy, but just the irony of some of the things that you're allowed to do, but that you're compared to like what you said, just give birth to a child. It's like, okay, whatever.
So early 90s, I become a ski patrol. The guy that like was teaching us, I don't think he was licensed to teach this. And at one point he was teaching us, like we went by the winter emergency care book and everything. He goes, okay, the most common injury you're going to see, skiers, thumbs, knees. And also, this is like when people weren't even snowboarding. He goes, the shoulder. You're going to see a lot of dislocated shoulders. You're going to know if it's dislocated if the humerus is hanging in the armpit. You'll feel it. He goes, now listen, I know how to put it back. He goes, legally, you're not allowed to put it back. But if you want, I'll show you how to do it.
You're right. Yeah.
I was like,
it's the old man's opportunity to feel cool for a minute.
And I was like, you know what? I don't want to know. I'm okay because I don't want to be able to be like, I think I can fix this. I think I got this. And but I saw some pretty gruesome stuff. You've probably that's all you do. You do way more of those calls than you do fire calls, right?
Oh, without a doubt. Yeah. I mean, I think we do probably, I think the number for last year was like 73% EMS calls. And that's over structure fires, vehicle accidents, all that stuff. So, I mean, that's what we do.
What, if you can say, if you don't mind doing it, what's the most gruesome thing you've ever seen?
Yeah, you know, people ask that question all the time, but then they're horrified by the answers.
Is it a decapitation?
No, I've never seen a decapitation, thank God. You know, but like, you know, just seeing, you know, bad stuff. I mean, it's just bad stuff. And it's funny because when people ask that question, they're often horrified by the answer.
And they're like, why'd you ask?
Because you're a emergency, you know, you've done emergency medicine in other fields. You know that it can be pretty nasty, but like your listeners, however, they won't be ready for that. Like,
I think I've probably told on this story when I saw a guy get a stick go through his anus and through his scrotum, puncture him completely. He skidded off. He skidded off the side of a groomed trail down into the trees, and just skidded right into a stick that was up. You know, they don't groom down, or they don't clear the brush there as much. And so it was just like coming out of the snow and just impaled him and came straight through. And I wasn't.
And folks,
I didn't know.
Folks, that's why you don't ski in the trees until you get good snowpack.
I like friends of mine are always like, "Come on, let's go through the trees," and I'm always like, "Do you guys know how bad your crash is going to be in the trees?" Like
it's not February yet. I'm not doing it.
Yeah, they don't get it. Also, tree wells. If you've ever gotten talk about a panic attack.
Oh my God, where you're just pushing and pushing and pushing, and it's like, oh my God.
People die in those all the time. I've had it fall in on me once, and I was like, I am gonna die. I'm trapped here, and I was screaming to my friends, and they were laughing. I'm like, it's not funny, guys. I'm like drowning.
And like you said, your heart rate goes up because not only is it the panic side of it, but also like actually trying to get yourself out of that upside down position. Like you're working your ass off, and then all of a sudden it's like, not only am I having a panic attack, but I'm also getting so fatigued that I'm just going to hang here and die.
Yeah. When you had your mountain biking accident, do you think you were dying?
No, I was, had that actually broken the skin, I was fully aware that would have probably been it. But because it was just accumulating in the inside of my leg, all the blood, I just knew I couldn't let it rupture, or else I would have been hosed. But I'm looking at as Cherie was running off to get help, I'm looking at the blood filling in the inside of my leg, and I was just like, oh fuck, I just need to get help as quickly as possible.
Is Cherie trained also? Is she trained at all?
She was okay. Yep. She's done an EMT class. She's done a woofer. So I don't, however, think she has the experience level of, running calls and stuff like that I have. So there was definitely a lot more panic there. But we got through it. And I do have to say, she's had some long-term effects, PTS or whatever you want to call it. But when we go out in the backcountry, if she doesn't know where help is, if she doesn't know how she can get help or where she's at, there's definitely a very uncomfortable feeling that she has. And
that's a feeling people should have. That's
healthy.
I surf in a lot of weird places, and I always say, and I go with these Brazilian guys that don't give a shit about anything. And I always say to them, hey guys, where's the nearest hospital? And they're like, I don't know. And I'm like, we need to know. And they're like, why? I'm like, there's reef, there's sharks, there's, sand bottoms that you could break your neck. And they always think I'm like, they get mad at me. Like, you're a comedian. Why you care about this stuff? And I'm like, because I've seen too much shit, guys. And you need to know where the hospital is, because we're going to have to get there quickly. And, it's like remote parts of Australia where my daughter and I were swimming one day in a rock pool, and she stepped on a sea urchin. And I didn't know what it was, and I got out and I looked at her foot, and I knew what it was, and I was like, shit. And so I, called the number for 911, which is, I think it's 000 or 111, and they're like, oh yeah, there's no emergency service in that town. I'm like, there's no, they're like, well, there's an ambulance, but it's the day off. And I'm like, day off? So nearest hospital is like an hour away. So I'm like, do we go to the nearest hospital? Or they're like, you can go to where they keep the ambulance in town. So I went there. There was a number on the door. I called. The guy comes from his house and comes down and helped her out. But, that's scary knowing you're an hour from a hospital.
Oh my God. Yeah. So we're blessed here. Even in areas that are fairly rural, at least that there's, 9 times out of 10, there's an emergency service that's going to be coming within 30 minutes.
Yeah.
But yeah, some of these other countries, I don't know. It's risky. Even like you said, surfing in some of those areas. They may have the best waves in the world, but if you get hurt, you are just hanging out to dry. Right.
So my buddy's got a place in Sumatra, and he said, this is actually, this guy is, he has a surf camp. It's not really a resort. It's like, a couple huts on an island in Sumatra. And I said to him, I was scheduled to go and everything. And I said, dude, I'm just worried about how far we are. That's a big, big, big wave. And I said that we're really far from hospitals and everything. He goes, look at this. And he sent me a bunch of photos, and it's all these guys getting stitched up from hitting the reef. And he's like, that's all my work. He's like, I'm really good at stitches. And I'm like, what is with all these idiot guys that think they can do stitches? So I was like,
yeah,
I was like, the last thing I want is a scar on my face. Who did that? Yeah, my friend Jimmy.
Yeah. Yeah, that stuff's all pretty scary, but life is fragile. But at the same time, the way that Cherie and I have kind of approached everything since then is that we do weigh, is it worth it or is it not? But for the most part, everything that we do it's a little more mellow, but we still get out there and we get after it, just like you do. I got to ask my dad about it again because he wanted me to buy it. There's some kind of health insurance that you get where wherever you are in the world, they will fly in and get you out of there in an emergency situation. And it's really not that expensive. But, a lot of times
there's certain hospitals you don't want to go to. When I was in South Africa, everybody's like, if anything happens, you say private hospital, private hospital, private hospital. Do not go to a public hospital. Just whatever you do. Right. Like, you have to.
Otherwise they're taking your kidneys and you've got a broken leg.
No, back then, like when I used to go to South Africa a lot, it was because there's so much AIDS there that they're not cleaning needles. You know, they'll use a needle on someone, put it in the bed, in the mattress, and just keep it there, save it for the next person on the bed, and just put it right back in. So when I was going, I had to go there with a broken ankle one time. And I was talking to my doctor, and the doctor's like, you might want to take your own IV bag and like needles and everything in case. I'm like, what? And he's like, yeah, just in case. I'm like, I don't think I fucking want to go. Like,
Hey, Eddie, can we do a quick break?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, one sec.
Okay, so my work schedule's been rather hectic lately, and I'm noticing it's starting to really wear me down. And even when I'm getting all my workouts in, practicing meditations, doing whatever I can to keep my stress levels low, I find I can still feel like I'm stressed. No one likes feeling stressed out, and even worse, how it can affect the people closest to you. But lately, I've been doing something a little different, and it's been helping me feel great again. A friend of mine who recently recovered from an absolute burnout told me that it wasn't time off, more rest, or secret relaxation techniques that saved him. This is where it gets interesting. He said all he did was add in a mineral to his diet based on his doctor's recommendation. I was hooked. So I asked him, of course, what mineral is it? He told me he was recommended to superdose with magnesium. You see, magnesium is the fourth most abundant mineral in the human body. Since this nutrient is responsible for 300 to 600 different biochemical reactions in the body, including metabolism, when your levels are low, you struggle with sleep, energy, metabolism, pain, and stress. You can get magnesium from certain foods like black beans, nuts, avocados, spinach, and many more, but if you really want to make sure you get enough magnesium for what your body needs, I recommend using a supplement in addition to these foods. Now, before you go and research magnesium supplements, know this. Most magnesium supplements fail to help you beat stress for two primary reasons. One, they are synthetic, unnatural, and not recognized by your body. And two, they are not full spectrum, meaning they don't have all 7 forms you need. So today, I want to introduce to you the best magnesium supplement I've found. It's the most potent, complete, first full spectrum magnesium formula ever created. It's called Magnesium Breakthrough. Magnesium Breakthrough is a complete formula that includes naturally derived forms of all 7 forms of supplemental magnesium and doesn't contain any synthetic additives or preservatives. This is the most potent oral magnesium you will ever find, period. Many notice a sense of calm, relaxation as their nervous system and stress levels are soothed, and better sleep is often observed within the very first week, if used daily and as instructed. Most people use Magnesium Breakthrough in the morning to help them stay calm and resilient to stress throughout the day. And within 3 to 5 weeks, most people experience a level of peace and serenity that they haven't felt in a very long time. I highly recommend trying Magnesium Breakthrough for at least 30 days. See how it'll make a difference in your mood and stress levels. Today, you can get 10% off with a special Wadcast podcast coupon code when you visit magbreakthrough.com/Wadcast and enter the code WAD10. That's MAGBREAKTHROUGH/WODCAST and use the coupon code WAD10. Once again, that's magbreakthrough.com/Wadcast and coupon code WAD10.
All right. I was assured by my wife that she's doing this precision nutrition level 2 class, and the part they're on right now is kind of like the aging adult. And she assured me that men that are over the age of 40, as they begin to age, they have to urinate constantly. And I think, I can attest to that.
I think I have a urinary tract infection. The other day I peed and I'm like, and if I was like in my 30s or 20s or 30s, I'd be like, oh my God, who did I sleep with? But like now, my wife and I are married with kids. There's a pandemic. I'm like, what the fuck just happened to me? I'm gonna go over to my neighbor Jimmy and see if he can fix it.
Yeah, right. Clean you out.
I mean, he's got a scalpel. Matt, My buddy Matthew Newell, who wrote in on Instagram, wants to know if you still ride a stump jumper.
I do. Yeah. So that, I found that, best bang for the buck bike, and this is no endorsement that I've been paid for or anything like that, but I've been riding Specialized now for 15, almost 20 years. And it's because it's, for $4,500, you can get a very high-end bike with very high-end components that it may not be absolutely the coolest or best looking bike, but man, they ride well. And, like I said, best bang for the buck for what I ride. It's just a great bike. Yeah.
I ride a Specialized, and I'm trying to get another one, and everything's out of stock.
Oh my God, I've heard that.
Yeah,
I've heard that everything. Like trying to get a bike is impossible right now.
I feel like Specialized is like the Toyota of bicycles. It's like, yes. I drive Toyota because it's the most reliable truck in the world, and
everybody has parts.
It does everything you need it to do. It'll go with any of the top end, and plus it's it's going to be more not just reliable but inexpensive when it comes to fixing, and it's just great. They're great bikes. I had a couple more questions, and then I have a million questions. You're one of those guys I could talk, but you're like, I could sit at the bar and talk to you about, I can't believe you know Dozer Dave. That's
Dozer Dave. It's a small world, isn't it? I hope he listens to this. Hi, Dozer.
He calls me probably once a week, and he also sends me the filthiest shit that I get on my phone. Like, it's the stuff I open, and I'm just like, how do I got to put my phone in the microwave and turn it on high. I'm like, Jesus Christ, Dozer, do not send me that stuff. Let's see. Pick your zombie survival squad. Must include Dave Castro or Greg Glassman. Tropical
Must? Is that what?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
I'd take Glassman. He's like a cockroach. He's going to be around forever and ever and ever.
That's a real good point. Oh my God. You might have to deal with some serious shit though. I mean,
yeah. Well, I love asking everybody this. Where do you think Glassman is right now?
I mean, I know he's a Central California guy, but I mean, oh man, you make your bed, you got to sleep in it. But it's unfortunate to see all that stuff happen, because it reflects on the CrossFit community. Because people outside the CrossFit community, what do they think now?
Yeah,
they think.
You know what, though? I don't know about that, because I've been seeing this. They talk about it like that happened in Uber. It happens in a lot of businesses, and you don't think of the company like that. You just go, oh, they cut it off at the head, and hopefully now it. So I'm trying to be optimistic about that. That people aren't looking at it. I've heard it from friends who don't know the first thing about CrossFit, though. They're like, oh, that dude,
Right. Yeah, and you're right. Hopefully they're all giving, especially the CrossFit HQ and admin people, the benefit of the doubt, because like you said, his beliefs did not trickle down to everybody for sure. But what's weird about some of that stuff is that, being around it, because that is the person with power, because that is the person with, that heads up the company, you really don't have much of a choice to like, go up against it.
Yeah. People I get upset when people are like, you got, and like, it's difficult when you're getting paid and your family and your whole life depends on your salary to be able to stand up against something like that and go, oh, I'm just going to quit my job and tell my family I'm going to go take a job at Ralph's grocery store because I disagree. It's really hard. So
yeah, there's definitely, you have to, I think the right answer is, of course, stand up for what's right, 100%. But also, I think, for me, I think there's an understanding of first understand everybody else's position that they're in. Because, the upper echelon of CrossFit, they were in a very difficult position because Greg would just excommunicate you from the community entirely if you had a different opinion than his. Yeah. Or if you went against the family, if you will. And that's something that CrossFitters pride themselves on, is the community side of CrossFit. So if you get, hacked out of that thing, it's like, oh, well, there goes part of my identity. What do I do now?
So being out there in Colorado and being in Boulder for a while, do you know Eric at all? The new CEO?
So what's kind of cool about Eric is, I've been to CrossFit Sanitas.
Mm-hmm.
I've met his staff there, and it's a really cool shop, really well run, beautiful place right in downtown Boulder. And Eric in particular, I met on a ski trip have you ever heard of the 10th Mountain Division hut system?
No, I like the sound of this though.
Yeah, so it's just it's a series of backcountry huts that stretch across Colorado mountains, and you can reserve them, and basically you backcountry ski up to them. I met him at one that was outside of Vail. It was a 9-mile ski into this thing, and believe it or not, Sheree and I were up there with a couple of friends, and this guy rolls in, shaved head, and he's like, "Hey, my name's Eric Rosa. I own CrossFit Sanitas." And I was like, "Holy shit, that's really cool." And at the time, we were working for CrossFit HQ, and Eric obviously was involved with his gym and had sold his business to, I think, Oracle at that time.
Yeah.
But that was our introduction, was a backcountry ski trip.
That's pretty cool. That'll make you bond, though. I mean, that's anytime you're on some weird adventure like that, you bond with someone like that.
Yeah, definitely.
So what, you use the skins to go up to these places and then ski down?
Yeah, so generally, you try to book those places for 2 or 3 days, 2 or 3 nights, so that way, that 9-mile trip is worth it. You get up there, just think of it as like a cabin, because that's what it is, that has all of the cooking utensils. It's got snow for, water and all that stuff. Very primitive bathrooms, but a bunk room where they have bunk beds and all that stuff for enough for like 16 people. You spend a couple days up there. You can tour around in the area and ski whatever's in that vicinity, and then ski back down when you're done with your stay. Try to leave the place as you found it.
That's so cool. That is so cool. Yeah, I didn't know that existed.
Highly recommended.
Yeah,
highly recommended. And go to the 10th Mountain Division Hut System website, and what I would recommend is choose the one with the shortest approach for your first one.
Yeah.
Because it's a lot harder than you think it is.
Oh, I can imagine. I saw you did the Leadville.
I did do the Leadville.
How brutal.
But I did the mountain bike.
Yeah, so that's still brutal. Look,
it was, yeah.
Look at this.
I trained
Hunter McIntyre right here. I'm talking to a real CrossFitter. I'm talking to Matt Chan right now. Say hi. Matt Chan.
The sheriff. What's up, Sheriff?
Look at that hair. You're on the show right now.
Dude, you're lucky I wasn't in the Titan games. I would have fucked your shit up. I would literally bend you up like a pretzel.
I'd pull your hair.
I'm not trying to hurt your feelings. I'm just being completely honest with every ounce of my body.
He loves to talk shit. Hunter.
I'm not talking shit. It's like 100% from the gospel straight to you.
Jesus. Oh, that's how you make friends, Hunter.
Let me through that filter.
He's still going.
Did you hear that? Wait, say that again. He said, "You're so lucky." The
producers didn't let me through that filter.
He got cut.
A professional athlete to come compete against you guys. I wrote them back when I found out you guys were on that show. I was rip shit pissed.
Jesus.
Maybe it was your arrogance.
I'm not arrogant at all. I'm just honest. There's like, well, we're looking for inspiring stories. It's like, there's nothing inspiring about me. I was like, I'll destroy your show.
So you went on the Titan Games, like what was it, the almost Titan Games show? It was the LeBron version.
No, that wasn't. That was just chasing people through parking lots.
Oh my God!
Did you see that? All right, I'd rather talk to.
You guys have fun. It was nice seeing you, Matt. I was just having a good time.
Goodbye. Good to see you too, Hunter.
He loves to talk shit.
You don't want to talk shit to a comedian. I mean, me you can talk shit to because I have nothing to come back with. You on the other hand.
Understand. One day I recorded a podcast with him where I tore him apart. Like, he came at me, and I've never gone at him like I did. And we went back and forth, and it was maybe the funniest episode I've ever done. And he had two of the top OCR racers on with him, and they didn't even get a word in because we were just fighting with each other. And but it was like a roast battle. And so halfway down, I looked down at the recorder. I had never turned it on.
Oh, damn it.
And so I just look at them and I go, well, that was a good show, guys. So thanks for listening to the Wadcast. And I just closed everything up and left. And Hunter's like, how come that show never went up? I'm like, I've
heard of that before, dude. I mean, especially with the Zoom stuff, it's probably got to be pretty scary to like, is the record button on? Is it the video? Is it mute?
Yeah, I'm over it. I've lost great episodes. I've had so many last week. I had so many technical difficulties. I don't give a shit. I like your 10th Mountain Hut Division. Have you done the Silverton heli skiing yet?
No, not the heli skiing side of that. I've been to Silverton a bunch of times, and anybody that's a decent skier should go give that place a shot because, man, oh man, the guided stuff is the way to do it.
Right.
I've done the unguided, and you don't get the same access to untracked snow. But when you pay for the guide, which is really, it's not even that expensive. When you think of like what Vail is charging for a lift ticket nowadays, I think it's like Vail's like $200.
Yeah.
And I want to say Silverton is $175 or close to $200. Yeah. And you get a 1-on-8, one guide to every 8 or 6 to 8 people. And, they're like, okay, I want you to ski from this point to this point, and I want you to spoon each other's tracks so that you're getting fresh turns the entire time.
That's awesome.
It is. It's rad. Yeah, those guys are professionals.
My buddies just did the heli skiing there and said it was unbelievable. They're like, why do people fly to Alaska when it's like right here? Yeah,
and you can see it. So like when you if you pay for the guided or unguided, they have one lift. The lift takes you up, and then you kind of disperse along the ridge line.
Okay.
And you can see where the the helicopter's dropping people off.
Right.
And it's like, oh shit, that's worth it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
they said it was like the best thing they'd ever did. Two of my buddies did it for their birthday. And I was just with them. I was supposed to heli ski this year and didn't get to do it. I've done it before, and it's a
lifetime tick list thing. It's so expensive, but oh my God.
I got invited to go. I'm buddies with a guy who was a Olympian and was a downhiller, and he's crazy. He's like old, but I was skiing with him in Park City, and he was doing layout backflips, and he's a downhiller. And he called me one day. He's like, "Hey, I got a ski trip going. And he named all these like top former pro skiers, like Tommy Moe and I forget the other guys. And he was naming them, and he's like, and we thought it'd be fun to have you. And I was like, I don't think it'd be fun for me. I grew up skiing my whole life, but I'm like, you guys are on another level. And
yeah, you're still going to be the anchor no matter what, right?
Yeah. And I was like, I just think when you take like, it's like, when I go to a CrossFit gym with like guys like you, all of a sudden my comedy skills don't matter anymore because I'm the douchebag in the crew where everybody's like, oh, look at this guy holding everybody up. Oh, do we have to wait for you again? We got to go get the smaller weights? Okay.
Every group needs the comedian, though, and you've got that fucking settled.
So where are you working out these days? What gym?
CrossFit Verve. Okay. We are currently building our garage, which I'm looking at right now. We tore down the little 1930s garage that we had in the backyard here, and we're building a 400 square foot, 12-foot tall ceiling.
Awesome.
So we're really excited for it. But, CrossFit Verve, we've been working out there since 2008, and it's like a second home. So
that's awesome. But I was going to ask you, are you going to do Masters at all?
No, I think I'm done with the CrossFit competition. I think my body's paid the price for what I did from 2008 till 2013. My knees and my back have definitely had problems over the years. And I'm starting to finally feel good again. So I'd like to keep it that way. And I know that training at that level that would be required to qualify for a master's level competition, although it'd be a great achievement, and props to all the people that, do have the ability to do that right now. I'm just not willing to put my body in the position where I could get hurt again.
I don't blame you. And you do all these, People always say, I do CrossFit so I can do all these other things. It seems like you have such an active lifestyle, and your job, you need it for that you can't risk it.
Skiing, I mean, you know how skiing is. Are you a skier or snowboarder?
Ski both, but I ski more.
Okay, you know how it is. If you have anything going on in your knee, skiing becomes really freaking weird. Like you're straight leg skiing, and you favor one side, and all that stuff. So I prefer to ski. I like I like that so much more than I like now competing.
Yeah.
So
that's why I slowed down a little bit at my CrossFit, where I was like, I want to go surf today, but I can't paddle because my shoulders, I can't move them.
Right.
Why am I doing this? I like surfing. I'm doing CrossFit for surfing. So I always
and that's that thing where it's like, you have your kind of like out of season training where it's like really high volume, or it can be. But then as you get in season, just taper down that training to, 2 days a week, maybe 3, and enjoy the other things a bit more.
Yeah. I when Hunter so rudely interrupted, he's such a dick. I've been doing his programming lately, and it's pretty good though. It's
oh, cool.
It takes forever because it's a million different things, but it's so low reps that I'm like, I don't feel sore the next day. I love it. But Leadville 100. You did the mountain bike. Yep. I did like a 20-mile mountain bike the other day up this thing that was like, I think it was like 3,000 feet I climbed in 3 miles. And it was 85.
That's a lot of climbing.
It was 85 degrees. I felt like I had the flu when I was done with it. And I can't imagine. Leadville is like, you're at altitude. It's a 100-mile race. How much climbing in the 100?
Over 12,000 feet of climbing, and the entire race is over 10,000 feet of elevation.
Holy shit.
Yeah, it was awesome, man. Like, I'd heard of the Leadville when I first started mountain biking back in 2001. And it was just one of those things that was just like, I'm going to put that on the list to someday do.
Right.
And I just was kind of in a point where it's like, and I see the end of the road, I know I still got a long time, but I just see it kind of like, okay, I'm not going to be able to do this stuff forever. Yeah. So I put in 6 months of training. Props to Coach Chris Hinshaw, because he wrote my program for using the Concept 2 bike erg, and I did 3 days a week of that. I'm sorry, 2 days a week of that, and 1 day on a mountain bike at just a very easy pace, and tried to increase the mileage. And after 6 months of training and doing CrossFit and all that stuff, I felt prepared, and I got the buckle, which means, you go under 12 hours, you get the big old cowboy belt buckle that's like that big, It was awesome. Great experience.
Would you say, did it feel harder than the CrossFit Games?
No. The CrossFit Games are interesting because it's stretched out over a week. So you have all those emotional ups and downs, and you have to prepare for the start of every event. And it's like, the Leadville, you start one time and your emotions are super high, your adrenaline's super high, and then it just settles out and you just are riding for 100 miles. Whereas the CrossFit Games, it was like, 9, 13 events, and every time 3, 2, 1, go would happen. It's like, oh my, here we go.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Did you ride with anyone else when you did it, or were you alone pretty much the whole time?
No, I was on a team, and three out of 4 of us made it within the time cap. One got cut at the first time cut, which is unfortunate. It was his ride. We were riding for him. He survived prostate cancer. Okay. And it was his 60th birthday. And he was really close. It was the first time cut is pretty aggressive. And he was really close, like within 3 to 5 minutes, and he didn't make it. So unfortunately, when I made it to the top,
I would have been yelling at the judge. He had cancer. Come on, let the guy go.
I know. But he, honestly, he was a good sport about it, and he was obviously a little upset, but he made it through it, and he cheered us on at each of the checkpoints where we saw him. So it was really cool.
We did last year, November, we did a 68-mile trail run from the beginning of the Pacific Palisades to Point Magoo. And Hunter and I put it together with Tommy Hackenbrook came with us.
Oh, my God.
I didn't know
Tommy.
you were such like an adventure guy. I would have had you come with us. But Zach Forrest was supposed to come. He dropped out, the pussy. And because he didn't train at all. And he was going to come. He didn't train at all. And he was about to show up. And he's like, I think I'll probably get hurt. And we're like, you will. You're going to get hurt if you haven't trained at all. So
did Tommy train?
Tommy trained a lot. And Tommy, it's so funny because I probably complained the entire time. I didn't hear one negative thing come out of Tommy's mouth. The entire, it took us 19 hours. And just, he just, what
a cool experience to have together, though.
It was great. We had like 16 guys and only 5 finished, and they're going to do it again this year. And I said,
cool.
it's October 24th this year. I'm probably mountain biking it, and I think
good choice.
I think it's going to be harder to mountain bike it.
Oh, is it steep climbs and stuff like that?
17,000 feet of climbing.
Yeah, that's rough.
And
that's only 68 miles. I mean, that's fucking crazy.
So I'm thinking I might fuck up by riding it because I just rode 18
You'll be doing
miles.
a lot of pushing.
Yes. A lot of or maybe I just get Specialized to give me an electric bicycle.
A Levo. They call it a Levo. Yeah. You know what's funny about that? I won't drop any names, but I've both trained people who use the bike as some of their off-day conditioning and active recovery, which is fine. I mean, and then there's other people that I know that have gotten busted using a electric bike and on Strava. And I don't know if you use Strava. Have you ever used Strava?
I know all about it, and people get mad on Strava.
Oh, my God.
Yeah.
Like, people get fired the fuck up. That's like saying you did Fran in a minute 58, and you only did 18, 12, and 6.
Yeah. Yeah. Somebody was telling me once they did some ride, and then someone picked them up and drove them, like, up one of the hills, and then they did the rest of the ride. And they go, I still have people threatening me on Strava, going like, "You
crazy, dude.
You didn't do this. You did not. Like, take it down now."
Well, I mean, people find ways to be competitive. It's just like in the CrossFit gym. Every time there's a rep shaver, the whole gym knows about it, except for the person who's shaving reps.
unless you're Paradiso CrossFit, where they put up security cams.
Oh, do they really?
And they just count it. They see people's scores and be like, bullshit. And then they just call them on it and be like, dude, you didn't do it. Like, you cheated, and you're cheating everyone. And
we're going to put that on the website.
But it's the best thing, because then nobody cheats. If everybody knows they're being watched, they're not going to cheat. And I will say right here, I cheat often. And I don't cheat to win. I cheat to quit. like I'll go. If I do, 20 reps I'm never going to finish this. So I start scaling in the middle of a workout. I'm like, I'm doing 18. Right. But I would never post my score and be like, I beat you. I'm just always like, I want to live. I want to get out of this.
But the people some of those people, and the people that I'm talking about riding on the electric bikes, they had no malice. It's funny because, when you do that stuff, there's always got to be a little asterisk next to it where it's like, by the way, I was on a different bike.
Well, it's
How great are those bikes though? Like, I have a buddy, this guy Eric, he came out and I asked him, I was like, hey, you want to go mountain biking? I'll arrange for a bike for you and we can go riding. And he's like, yeah, I haven't ridden in about a year though. So I got him one of those Specialized turbo Levos. And the great part is, it's like, you can turn it off. You can turn off the pedal assist.
I didn't know you could do that.
Yeah, so it's a Specialized stump jumper that when you turn on the pedal assist, it just doubles your output. So if you're pedaling, at a certain stroke rate and it produces, X amount of power, it just doubles your power. So,
and what would you say the weight difference is from an electric, the Elevo, to the regular stump jumper?
I mean, I'm guessing, but I'm saying maybe 5 pounds.
That's not bad.
No. And for us, it was really great because we got to ride on a trail that was, 15 miles long. It was semi-technical, but the spots where he would have had a really hard time, he just switched that thing on and was able to power right through it. And we were finishing at the same time. So it's super cool to have that option for people who are either newer to mountain biking or just don't mountain bike enough to enjoy it, to punish themselves.
Right.
So I really like the idea, but the other part of that is that they do tear up the fucking trail, and definitely
do they?
Check. Oh yeah, they do, because if you're like standing up and you double the power, it's going to throw dirt out the back end.
Oh, because people have been complaining in my neighborhood. We have great trails. People have been complaining that motorcycles are back there now, and it's all horse trails, and the horse people are really mad. And I'm like, these aren't motorcycles. These are people on electric bikes. And I wondered that.
Yeah, it's in Colorado there's designated e-bike trails, and it's just if you go to certain areas like Crested Butte for example, Crested Butte is known for its single track and super high quality single track. I don't think that there's a single trail that I know of in Crested Butte that allows the e-bikes because of that.
Wow.
So they try to preserve it. Yeah.
I just looked at a house there. Oh,
did you really?
Yeah. My wife and I were looking at a house.
Holy shit, man.
Yeah, could be possibly move into that area. But
cool. Wow.
Yeah, the e-bikes though, I feel like you surf, right?
Yes, I get in the water and sit on a surfboard. Yes.
Well, surfers hate SUPs, stand-up paddleboards, and people that stand up paddleboard don't understand why. And the reason is because they get all the waves. Because it's like cheat, and they're like, "Well, it's not cheating. We get in faster." And I'm like, "But it's cheating. This like authentic thing that we've done for years and years and years. All of a sudden, you come in with like a motor almost, and you're going to get the wave every time over us." And they're like, "Well, then you should get on it." And I'm like, "Well, you're ruining our sport." So I see how like traditional mountain bikers are like, "Why don't you just get a motorcycle?" Like, what? Why are you on our trails? But I get it. I've ridden them. They're so fun.
Isn't that a great narrative though? That to compare to like just like government. Yeah. I mean, like, what do we got to do? We got to make fucking rules now about mountain biking. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it's totally, because that's happening in my neighborhood right now, because the horses get to ride all these great trails, and we're banned from so many trails, and we're like, there's more of us than there are you, so let's make this democratic, and if we vote... And I'm like,
here's the trade. No e-bikes if the horses have to fucking clean up their shit.
Yeah. Oh, there's a huge fight in my neighborhood about the horse shit on the streets.
Oh my gosh, it's just shit everywhere.
Huge.
And it's not like it's a small amount of shit. It's like a massive amount of shit.
See, I'm on the side of I don't give a shit. Like, I don't care. But there's people, and I'll drop the name because I don't even give a shit. One of the guys from The Big Bang Theory, his parents live in my neighborhood, and his dad is just whining about it. And he won't shut up about the horse shit on the... And there's this one woman who's a big horse person, and everybody started going back and forth on Nextdoor with him. And this one woman just showed a picture, because they were all talking about how there's nothing in it. It's just hay. Horses are just shitting out hay. And this one woman just showed a picture of her, like, about to eat the horse shit and, like, sent it to him. And everybody just fucks with him. Like, one guy's like, I'll come down, I'll clean it out of the street. Like with the shovel, I'll get it if that makes you feel any better, and then I'll just throw it on your front door. It's a war.
Oh man, anything on Nextdoor turns into a war. That is like, you want to get into some shit, get on Nextdoor.
Oh, I do jokes about it on stage. I have a new album coming out pretty soon, and I have probably a 20-minute chunk on Nextdoor.
Oh really?
I could spend half my day on Nextdoor. It's amazing.
Dude, that's probably great for your material.
Somebody put bloody tampons in one of my neighbor's mailbox.
Yep, Nextdoor. It's
the best. It's Facebook times 1,000. Yeah, it's the best. I've taken up way too much of your time, but I could talk to you forever. I hope we get to go on an adventure someday. I don't know if it'll be killing an elk or running through some horrible course or something, but you'll have to carry me like Hunter did. But at least I don't have to get picked up like Armin Hammer did. Armin did a triathlon and he got swept up by the van.
Oh no,
he didn't make a cutoff. So
hey, you know what though? We've all been there. I've been there. You've probably been there. It's a very low moment, but
I got sick. I got sick in a triathlon once. Walked the entire run. Was coming in last place with another guy. Like we walked the run together. He hurt his knee. I'd been puking the whole race since the bike, and so I'm just like walking. We get 20 feet from the finish line. And I look at him and I go, "Sorry, dude," and I sprint to the finish line. Because I knew my friends would go, "You came in fucking last," and I was like,
"Oh yeah,
I couldn't be last." So I left this poor guy that I just walked 6 miles with.
I just left him in the dust.
I just went, "Sorry, dude." I did. I looked him in the eyes and I said, "I'm sorry."
Poor guy with the knee injury probably just tipped over and fucking never finished too.
Yeah, poor guy. So congratulations on the Titan Games. I could, if you want to lend me $100,000, is that building the new gym?
No, I mean, actually, probably at this point it's going to help pay for it.
Yeah.
But we had all that stuff scheduled ahead of time. Yeah,
that's a nice chunk of cash though to win. That's probably more than you won in all your CrossFit Games winnings.
It is, yeah. I think the most I ever made in CrossFit, I think we got like $65,000. I got $65,000 for second place in 2012, which was awesome. I mean,
that's still a good chunk of cash back then.
Oh my god, for exercise, competitive, fitness.
But that's back in the day when there was no. I wouldn't have even expected you got that much back then. Yeah,
me neither, honestly.
Yeah, that's great. Okay, so congratulations on that.
Thanks.
Yeah, and where can they? You've got your own programming, don't you?
I do. Yeah, thanks for letting me plug it. It's terrific, and I write the program for myself. I'm one of those people that I like to follow a program, and I find that if I don't, I'm just doing too much, or I second guess myself. So I write down a program at the beginning of every week. I complete it, and then I upload it to. It's called Train FTW, Train for the Win, and in the program it's called Thrive. And honestly, it's for people like me, kind of like people that don't really you want to stay fit, you don't want to get hurt, you're not into competition, so I'm not flipping over and doing handstand push-ups because I'm not going to put a kink in my neck again for the 1,000th time.
Yeah.
There's no muscle ups, there's no squat snatches, stuff like that where it's like high skill, kind of lower reward. And you're in and out in an hour.
That's awesome. So, I might jump off of Hunter's training and onto yours.
Let me know. I'll hook you up.
Have you been on Chase Ingram's podcast yet?
I haven't.
You got to do it. They talk all about programming. They go through everybody's programming because there's a lot of different programs out there, but like yours, I'm not joking. Yours sounds like it fits me. I hate handstand push-ups. I think they're bad for your neck. I'm not gonna do squat snatches.
I don't do pistols anymore.
Yeah, I'm not taking any risk. You sound like you got the best program for me, and that's no joke. I swear to God, Hunter. Bye. I can't do Hunter's program. He's 30 years old.
Exactly. Yeah. And that's the thing about my mindset is like, if I continue to try to keep up with those guys, I'm just going to end up in shambles again. And I know in my heart what are the best bang for the buck movements and combinations, and I have to focus more aerobically, like longer duration workouts.
Sure.
3 times a week, so that I'm not beating myself up.
Yeah. James Fitzgerald said it to me once when I interviewed him. He said, "Do you want to climb a mountain when you're 90?" I said, "Yeah." He goes, "Do you think the programming you're doing right now is going to get you there?" And I went,
"Right."
No. He goes, "Okay, so let's reverse engineer. How do you get there? And what should you be doing?" And when he said that to me, it changed the whole way I looked at what I was doing in the gym.
Yeah. That guy's a smart guy. He knows what he's talking about.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Matt. I appreciate it. What's your Instagram?
At Matt1Chan.
Matt1Chan. Congratulations again. Awesome meeting you. Next time I'm out in Colorado, I'm going to give you a call, and we're going to go do something crazy.
Looking forward to it.
All right. See you, dude. Thanks a lot.
Thanks, Eddie. Bye.